I thought you would be someone great.
Great at what? I'm rich.
Dreams, I got a vision, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
This was done for you.
Everything I put my hand to, I feel like I'm doing it for the Lord, whether he's told me to do it or not.
What you think you know, it doesn't matter.
Maybe after this episode, you might be like, oh my gosh, I'm a Matthew.
I was something else once too.
It's a constant struggle. I'm always looking for God to answer that question.
All right, guys. So which apostle are you? That is going to be what we're going to be exploring right now today in this video. So, John, we've got two guys. We've got Nathaniel.
Yep.
And we really went a deep dive into a prior video of the Nathaniel story and the kind of typology or character that Nathaniel represents. And
Yep.
that's a guy that is, he's got this plan. He knows how to do it, execute it. Hey, I'm talented. I'm gifted. I've got degrees. I went to Harvard, or I went to, all these things. And we've
Bible college.
Yeah. And we've all fallen into these traps. It's like, look, I've got aspirations. I got dreams. I got a vision, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
100%.
But there's another side of this coin. There's John, that I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if a lot of people that are watching right now saw the other type of Christian that you might be right now, and that is the character of Matthew.
I thought you would be someone great.
Great at what? I'm rich. I have an armed escort. I'm trusted by the praetor of
We
Galilee.
never dreamed you would use the talent God gave you to bleed your people dry.
But have you ever seen anything miraculous?
Matthew.
My whole world. Everything I thought I knew. What if it's wrong?
I don't think many of us relate to Matthew as far as like, I'm a Matthew.
You don't think so? So, well, maybe after this episode, you might be like, oh my gosh, I'm a Matthew. And two, I have been both. At one time in my walk, sometimes I have found myself as a Matthew. Sometimes I've found myself as a Nathaniel. So it's not always either or. Sometimes you can end up being both. Nathaniel's the kind of guy that, thinks that he knows, he's got a plan. He's got the abilities, the talent.
But wouldn't
He really
Matthew also have a plan? I mean, he's a tax collector. He's doing his job. He's going
No.
about his business.
No. So that's a good question, though.
Yeah.
It's a great question. At this point, we've got if we got a clip that we can cut to with Matthew talking to Philip.
As a tax collector.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's everyone's enemy. That doesn't shock you.
I was something else once too. Once you've met the Messiah, am is all that matters.
So Matthew, as we've seen from the clips, obviously Matthew now, he has left everything. Matthew has been called out of the world, and Matthew has now found himself in this entirely new sphere of life.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that he thought he knew, which is why I loved about season 1, John, with the character of Matthew. And here's this guy who relies on facts, figures, science. He thinks he's got it all figured out. And here he's seeing things, miracles, fish come out of nowhere, stuff that was impossible. In Matthew's mind, it's just like, can't compute. This doesn't calculate. Everything has been thrown upside down. Jesus walks by his booth, and I'm sure all of you have seen season 1 by now.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. And
Matthew Atheus.
Yeah.
Come with me.
Matthew, yeah, son of Atheus, follow me. I love that scene. It's one of my favorites. And he's like, me? And so so now we're in season 2, episode 2. Matthew is now found himself around people that are not a big fan of him.
Mm-mm.
And he now, just like he felt like an outsider before, he still is in that feeling like an outsider. He feels like he doesn't belong. But he's got a whole new paradigm. He's got a whole new existence. He's got all these new opportunities. And here's where we're getting into, are you a Matthew? Matthew completely feels inadequate and ill-equipped to be called by Jesus and following these other men.
Years. And they will make fires of them for 7 years, so that they will not need to take wood out of the field, or cut down any out of the forests.
As you saw from the clip, here these guys had all these scriptures. They're citing scriptures. They're all like in one accord, and they all know each other. You can see there is a bond in a group with all these guys quoting Ezekiel. And they were quoting Ezekiel 40, I think. But anyway, that's not the point. But the point is, here, Matthew, maybe you've been to church, maybe you've been around a lot of people that can quote scripture, tell you what Bible verse, and can tell you all kinds of stuff that's in the Bible and about God, and you feel about this big because you don't know these things.
Yeah.
You don't know the first thing. Maybe you've been a Christian for a few months, or maybe you've been a Christian for a few years, but you haven't been around people that have taught you what other people have known. Maybe you haven't gone through the same life experiences that other people have. We've all been in those social situations where we felt very small. We felt like we didn't belong. We're in over our head. Why would God ever choose me to do this? So you got Nathaniel who thinks, hey, of course I can do this. Of course I'm smart enough. Of course I'm talented enough. In our own lives, that John's like, well, I can do that.
All the time. I think everything I put my hand to, I feel like I'm doing it for the Lord, whether he's told me to do it or not. And oftentimes I get rebuked by other people around me, but I'm always like a go-getter. I'm like, I'm going after something. I'm going to chase something down. And you see this in Nathaniel. He's like, who's working for God. He's trying to live for God.
This was done for you.
Ultimately, it wasn't God's plan for his life, and he gets corrected. But for me, I do this type of thing all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Even when we were before Testimony House came up, John was actively pursuing what God had for his life. And the things that he came up with were things that John was already naturally good at, or he thought he was good at.
Yeah.
So this is that Nathaniel personality, or Nathaniel mentality, is, well, what am I already good at? What am I expert at? Mm-hmm. I get it. That's a normal, as we talked in a prior video, that's a normal human nature reaction to go mentally in that direction.
Yeah. What degree do I have? Where do I go? Where have I worked before? What job lane can I walk in?
What is the world? What do I get patted on the back for? Mm-hmm. The world, oh, you're so funny, you should do this. Or, oh, you're so talented in this area, you should do that. That's the way the world thinks. But here the other side is, Matthew's never had that. Matthew's never had the, and if he even knew he was good at something, he chose a path before Jesus of picking something he thought he was good at that he got rejected for. But now he's in this area where he feels completely insignificant. He completely a fish out of water. No pun intended, and so, and I think that a lot of you that are watching right now, maybe in a current situation, or scratching your head like, God, why did you call me? I don't fit in with these people. I go to church and I feel so dumb. I go to church, I'm around these Christians, or I go to prayer groups and I don't know what to say. I don't know how to pray like these other people. They're so good at praying that way, and I'm terrible at it. Like, we've all felt completely inadequate. The clips that we were showing you, Matthew is in the same boat. It's not about, oh, I can do this. Matthew is like, I can't do this. I don't know enough. In the exact same episode where we're seeing Nathaniel, we're also seeing the other side of many Christians out there that may not be able to identify with the Nathaniels, but can surely identify with Matthew and feeling like they don't belong. They are outside the circle. The same answer to Nathaniel is the same answer to you. It's not about you. And Philip is addressing this in such a great way with Matthew, I think, John.
When I watched this episode of The Chosen, and we're trying to decide, like, who are we? Like, who do we represent? Who do we feel is representing our walk or our journey on the screen? And for me, when I see Nathaniel, like, trying to figure out his method and having working, like, I relate to that now as someone who's trying to chase God's vision for my life. But in regards to, like, who I was before, I felt more like a Matthew in my old life. I was doing things that made money, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. But when I got into God's will, I was, like, very confused. Is the scene we saw where he was, shaping the wood or whatever, and he didn't know how to do it. Like, that's how I felt. So, like, obviously I can see myself in both characters, but, overall, I feel that I would walk in this lane of Nathaniel where he's like, I'm chasing after what God has for me until I finally get on my knees. I'm crying, the snot's coming down, and I finally cry out to God, and God sees you and God hears that, and ultimately he says, okay, now follow me. And so he gives up everything to go follow Jesus. And so for some people, maybe they felt like they are a Matthew where they're walking out of what they felt was a comfortable life and they were called by Jesus to follow him, and they're now feeling in this realm of uncomfortability. It's for me, it's maybe a slippery slope. Maybe it's not as cut and dry. Like you said, it can be both.
Absolutely. And I think that our personality types, I definitely see more Nathaniel in you than in myself. I'm definitely more of a Matthew. I take rejection a lot, maybe more personal. Like, I think it's my fault. Like, I'm that type of person. John, can testify. Since we've been doing this ministry, many times I've gotten up and taught and gone to churches and into home groups, and I've been basically told to go away. We don't want to be taught by you. We don't want to be taught. If you've been rejected and church hurt by people that have made you feel like you don't belong or that you don't have anything to contribute, a lot like the interaction between Peter and Matthew right now, that is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it happens, and we really feel like, okay, God, I don't belong here. I don't know why you would send me. Why would you send me around these people or in this area? Just like Nathaniel under the tree, God, can't you see me? Why would you let my dreams fall apart?
I've cried out to that a lot. I don't know about you guys watching this. Like, for me, it's a constant struggle. I'm always looking for God to answer that question. It doesn't always come as we see in the episode where Jesus shows up and put his hands on his shoulder and he's like, trust me, you're going to do greater things than you've ever seen. Like, we're living by faith in that area. We don't have Jesus to sort of like take our hand and be like, follow me, watch what happens. Right. And so when you're walking a life by faith, it takes, some uncomfortability. And so no matter which road you're walking, you have to walk this life by faith. So I'm encouraged by what you're sharing today, Kevin, that we can see ourselves in these apostles.
Absolutely.
And so tell us in the comments which apostle you think you're most relating to in your own personal walk. If you've had some difficult times in your journeys or you see your path in either Matthew's life or in Nathaniel's, we'd love to hear from you in the comments.
Yeah. And remember, the solution's the same. Whether you're a Matthew or you're a Nathaniel or you're somewhere in between, you just have to keep your eyes on Jesus. He's the answer. It's just, he says, as he told Nathaniel, don't look at him, look at me. And Matthew's got to do the same thing. As Philip was saying, he's like, the Lord knows what's inside you. He doesn't make mistakes. He called you. He didn't mess up when he called you, Matthew. Neither did God mess up when he called you. I know it's easy to say, who cares what other people think? Of course we care. We're humans. We're relational people. It hurts when people think that we don't belong or we don't have anything to contribute or we're not smart enough or talented enough or we're not called by God. But your relationship with the Lord, that God's called you. The Lord has gifted you to do something. And you just have to keep your eyes on him and keep doing what God's called you to do. Don't give up.
Yeah.
I know it's so easy to give up, but don't give up, because at some point, someone's going to see Christ in you, and everything will change.
That's right. And if you want to be encouraged by where you are in God's plan for your life, head over to our website, testimonyhouse.org. Over there, we have what we call a 12-question toolkit. If you can see here on the screen, this is what we say. This is a 12-question quiz, yes or no questions that will help you sort of discover where you are on writing God's sentence for your life, or another way to say it would, where you are on walking God's plan for your life. So we encourage you to take this quiz over at our website. This may be a blessing to you to sort of see where you are on your journey in Christ. And we have resources and things that allow you to be able to either push farther into it or maybe connect with us so that you can be a blessing to others in the community, to be able to maybe use your gifts and talents in a way you never thought possible.
Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. See you next time.